My wife kept taking secret calls at midnight. Then I found out she was meeting my brother. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy posting a story like this. For most of my life, I believed that trust was simple. You loved someone, they loved you back, and that was enough. Turns out, I was very wrong. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 6 years. We had a decent house, no kids yet, and what I thought was a solid relationship. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We laughed together, traveled occasionally, and rarely fought. At least that's what I believed. Then the midnight phone calls started. The first time I noticed, I woke up around 2 in the morning and realized Sarah wasn't in bed. I found her downstairs in the kitchen whispering into her phone. When she saw me, she immediately hung up. "Who was that?" I asked. She smiled. "Just Emily. She's having relationship problems again." I didn't think much of it. But then it happened again. And again. Every few nights she'd disappear from bed and take a call somewhere else in the house. Every time I asked, there was a different explanation. A friend, a coworker, her cousin, something always felt off. The weirdest part was that she'd never let me see the screen. One evening we were watching TV when her phone lit up. The second she noticed, she flipped it upside down. That was the moment my stomach dropped. People don't hide things when they have nothing to hide. I tried convincing myself I was overthinking. I failed. A few weeks later, my younger brother Jake came over for dinner. Jake and I had always been close. Or so I thought. During dinner, I noticed something strange. Every time Sarah laughed, Jake looked at her. Not normal looking, the kind of look you give someone you're trying not to stare at. I caught it 3 separate times. Then I noticed Sarah doing the same thing. The room suddenly felt colder. That night, I barely slept. I hated myself for even considering it. My wife? My brother? No way. The next morning, I decided to do something I'd never done before. I checked our phone records. I know some people will judge me for that. Honestly, I don't care. What I found made my blood run cold. There was one number that appeared constantly, hundreds of calls, mostly late at night. The number wasn't saved in my contacts, but when I entered it into my phone, it belonged to Jake. I actually felt dizzy. I remember sitting there staring at the screen. No. No way. My own brother? I wanted to confront them immediately. Instead, I decided to get proof. The next week, Sarah told me she was going shopping with a friend. An hour later, I followed her. I know it sounds crazy, but my gut was screaming at me. She drove across town and parked outside a small coffee shop. 10 minutes later, Jake arrived. I watched them hug. Not a friendly hug, not a sibling-style hug, a long hug, the kind couples give each other. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. Everything around me went blurry. I sat there for almost 20 minutes trying not to throw up. The 2 people I trusted most had betrayed me. I drove home before they could see me. The entire ride I kept replaying every interaction from the past year. Every family gathering, every holiday, every joke, every smile. How long had they been lying? That night, Sarah came home acting completely normal. She kissed my cheek, asked how my day was, and I almost laughed. The audacity was unbelievable. I decided not to reveal what I knew, not yet. Instead, I started paying attention, and that's when things got even worse. I discovered they weren't just meeting, they were planning something. A month later, I accidentally found documents hidden inside Sarah's desk. At first, I thought they were bank statements. Then I saw my name. She had been quietly moving money from our joint savings account, thousands of dollars, small amounts over time, enough that I never noticed. Nearly $30,000 was gone. My hands started shaking. This wasn't just an affair. This was a setup. I contacted a lawyer the next day. The lawyer's advice was simple. Stay quiet. Gather evidence. Protect yourself. So I did. For the next 3 weeks, I documented everything. Phone records, bank transfers, messages, meeting locations. I collected enough evidence to fill an entire folder. Then I planned my revenge. Not an illegal revenge, not a violent revenge. Something better. My parents' 50th wedding anniversary was approaching. The entire family would be there, including Jake. I decided that would be the day. The night of the party arrived. Everyone was smiling, eating, drinking, celebrating. Jake and Sarah acted like nothing was wrong. Watching them pretend made me sick. Halfway through dinner, I stood up and tapped my glass. Everyone looked at me. I smiled. "I'd like to make a special presentation." Sarah looked. Sarah looked confused. Jake looked nervous. I connected my laptop to the television. Then I opened a folder. The first photo appeared. Sarah and Jake hugging outside the coffee shop. The room went silent. The second photo appeared. Then screenshots. Then call logs. Then bank transfers. One by one, the silence became unbearable. My mother started crying. My father looked like he wanted to disappear. Jake turned pale. Sarah couldn't even look at me. Finally, I asked a simple question. Would either of you like to explain? Nobody spoke. Jake stood up and left. Sarah followed him. The entire family exploded into chaos. The next few weeks were ugly. Divorce proceedings began immediately. My parents cut contact with Jake. Most of the family sided with me. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. 3 months later, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Jake. I almost hung up. Then he said something that stopped me. You deserve to know the truth. I laughed. What truth? What he said next changed everything. Apparently, the affair hadn't started the way I thought. Sarah hadn't pursued him. Jake hadn't pursued Sarah. The relationship began because they were both investigating something involving me. I thought he was lying. Then he explained. A year earlier, someone had contacted Sarah anonymously claiming I was having an affair. They sent fake screenshots, fake messages, fake photos, convincing ones. Sarah believed them. Jake believed them too. Instead of confronting me, they started talking privately, trying to figure out what was happening. Months of conversations became emotional support. Emotional support became attraction. Attraction became a relationship. The affair was real, the betrayal was real, but it had started because of a lie. I asked who sent the fake evidence. Jake didn't know. Neither did Sarah. At least that's what they claimed. A week later, I finally got my answer. The anonymous sender wasn't a stranger. It wasn't an ex. It wasn't some internet troll. It was my best friend of 15 years. The guy who had stood beside me at my wedding. The guy I considered family. As it turned out, he'd been obsessed with Sarah for years. When she chose me, he never got over it. So he spent months manipulating everyone until my marriage collapsed. In the end, my wife betrayed me. My brother betrayed me. My best friend betrayed me. But the most shocking part? The person who destroyed my marriage wasn't either of them. It was the man who spent 15 years pretending to be my friend. And somehow, that betrayal hurt the most.